Guy McPherson here, the Nature Bats Last channel, again here with psychologist Peter Miller. And at some point, I just know we're going to actually meet in person and not have this screen between us.
Yeah. Pretty sure this is the year.
All right, well, let's make that happen. And item number, I don't even remember how many, four maybe, in the last few days. A pregnant woman's emotional state is transferred to the fetus. A stressed mother produces stressed children at birth. These children are at risk for long-term emotional dysregulation and also for learning issues. They had no control over that, but they're born with these difficulties. And this, yet again, suggests the importance of eliminating or at least minimizing misogyny in this culture. Easier said than done. So, can you talk a little bit, based on your knowledge of emotional state being transferred to a baby or to other people in your lives? Like if you have a stressed family, I'm
Mm.
pretty sure your kids are not going to grow up unstressed.
No, no, and it's probably a spectrum kind of discussion, right? Like um different families function in different ways and they have different levels of understanding and knowledge of how to be healthy. I think genetics does play a big role as well. Some people, honestly, they have an easier time with their emotions through their whole life because just of the genetics. Like some people are literally born more sensitive. The area of the limbic system or the areas, in particular the amygdala, it fires more frequently and more often and with more intensity, and it becomes harder to learn to live in that body because
I've been I've
sorry.
been telling people for years how clever I was to choose my parents and my time of birth.
Well, some people are, I think we do kind of win a lottery, or we don't win a lottery, like in ways. Like in my personal situation, I didn't know that I had to get many more skills for working with my brain and living in this body. I didn't realize the gravity of it and the I don't know how much more I needed to learn than others who didn't have the same sensitivities. I often compare it to like surfing. Like some people only have to learn to surf on little waves in the ocean,
Mhm.
whereas other people they have to learn to live at I call it the North Shore. Like in Hawaii, there's this place called the North Shore, and the waves are just massive, right? They're like 10 or 20 feet tall, and they're very intimidating. But some people literally have to learn to live with that kind of intensity because that's what they've been gifted through nature, right?
Right.
Um, so I don't know if that helps to start answering the question. Um, Take it from there for a little bit. Remind me exactly what we're aiming for here.
Well, I'm not sure that you and I are in the best position to talk about a pregnant woman's emotional state because I
Mm,
don't know about you, but I've never been a pregnant woman. And I've never been in the vicinity of a pregnant woman for that matter,
mm,
which has been quite fortunate so far. A stressed mother produces a stressed baby at birth, and that leads to all kinds of emotional challenges later in the
right,
life of
right.
the child.
No, there is such thing as birth trauma. I mean, that is definitely a thing. And you can have the birth trauma before you come out of the uterus and after or while you're coming out, right? I mean, some of the breath workshops I've done with my good friend in Calgary, he does birth trauma work with people, right? Like that you can, through his therapy, that you can tap into that part of your life somehow. Anyway, that's just to kind of just to validate that that's a real thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and so, if I mean more, if you have that more or less, it will probably impact your your mental health and relationship challenges as you go about your life. If you have more trauma or if you have more genetic susceptibility to different kinds of mental illness, it's just going to be more of a requirement to learn how to live with that, to learn how to manage it. Um, I really think it's severely underestimated. I mean, how much people suffer in these ways because we don't talk about it enough to make it like a priority, like, or we don't institute it enough in everyday life. Like, I really think at least there should be a class in grade school from grades 1 to 12, like every year, where you learn a little bit more about mental health and how people get unwell. At least it would create possibly the incentive or the understanding, like, oh, there's something going on with me.
Right.
And I'm going to actually pursue further treatment because I learned about it in school. They were talking about it every year, right? So
Right.
I learned about stuff like borderline personality disorder, and I learned about the different ways our thoughts can become distorted, and I learned about how we can get stuck on these thoughts and create tons of unnecessary emotional overwhelm. So I know that I need to gain some tools that I didn't have, at least, right? But nope, it's still not instituted like that.
Right. Absolutely not. And again, as I've said many times before, I think if there was real money in it for a billionaire, I think we'd solve this problem in about a week, or at least make great strides towards eliminating misogyny, which gets again at the root of the issue, because we're talking about a pregnant woman's emotional health being transferred to a fetus. And because women are treated badly and unfairly in this set of living arrangements, uh, we need to fix that. And we can't fix that as individuals. Obviously, we're not going to fix misogyny. We're not going to fix racism at the level of the society. So here again, we're in a situation where I think we might be able to make a difference in our own personal lives and therefore the lives of the people around us. Maybe that's all we can do. Maybe that's all we could have ever done.
Yeah, perhaps, right? And I think there's lots of different cultural frameworks that devalue women. And I think it does come part and parcel with certain types of religions. Maybe that just goes without saying. I mean, when you see what some women are required to wear on their bodies in order to not get beaten on a daily basis, kind of thing, right? Like,
Hmm.
that's part of a religious belief. Um, but yeah, these cultural traditions that are a regular part of society they aren't going to be going anywhere. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, you can see that to be healthy, to be healthy in this place is an ongoing uphill battle, or you're having to work against the stream on purpose. So, like, if I'm choosing to like meditate for 10 minutes and taking that time to do that because I want to be more mentally healthy, I think I'm doing the exact opposite of what this society, they would probably call that a waste of time, right? They'd say, no, you should go mow your lawn, right? Or
Absolutely.
you should go, you should go go to work. Don't meditate. Meditating is wasting time,
When
right?
I was a kid, meditation was something that people made fun of.
Hmm. Hmm.
And yeah, that was quite a long time ago, I'll admit. So we're talking 50, 55 years ago. People were making fun of people who meditated.
Well, people make fun of people that go to mental health clinics too, right? Maybe more on the male side. Um,
Right.
but in all of my practice for the last 13 years, it's always been about 80% female, 20% male.
Hmm.
I think that that's a pattern that requires some analysis. Like, why am I seeing 80% females?
Right. And I
Um,
suspect it has something to do with the fact that, I heard almost every day when I was a kid growing up, big boys don't cry. You don't express your emotions. Males are not allowed to express their emotions. That is totally screwed up.
Uh, it is profoundly screwed up. And people even carry around the myth that emotions are weakness, they would say. Emotions are weakness.
Mhm.
If you can't put them away and remain rational 100% of the time, or not even include it as part of your rationality, then you're failing. You're failing, 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 right? If you're expressing feeling, people are there's emotion phobia, right? Like, just put those emotions away, don't talk about them. because I mean, I think the idea is the more we talk about it, the more out of control they're going to get. That's not true if you know how to talk about emotions in ways that work. Um, so to have people would they would falsely claim to have emotional strength is to ignore your emotions. That's to have emotional
Right.
strength. That's a fallacy. The truth, from my experience and understanding in my own life and education, is emotional strength comes through learning how to work with them, learning how to talk about them rather than continually dismissing, ignoring, invalidating, disowning our emotional experience. It's like we're I compare it to brushing teeth. I'm just not going to brush my teeth. No, I'm not. No.
Hmm.
And to have strong teeth is to ignore them. So, I mean, but we've learned to work with our teeth because if we don't, there's tremendous pain and suffering. I mean, at least
Yes.
we figured that out, right?
Right.
Like, so I mean, if we could learn to work with our emotions, we could reduce another big layer of emotional or suffering in life. Like,
Right.
but for some reason, I think, and I bring it back to capitalism again because I don't think that emotions, I think they slow down the production. So if we take time to talk about things, we take time to, to be healthy,
Right.
we take a few minutes here and there to sort things out and talk to each other, then it slows down production,
Right.
doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes, every minute you're at the therapist's office is a minute you could be at the assembly line putting together a car or
I think
whatever.
a lot of guys get flack for that. Like, why are you're spending an hour there? You're
Right.
supposed to be here making me money, right? Like,
Right. Ugh.
so here we go, right? I'm the harsh realities of living in this set of circumstances. It's very hard to be mentally healthy here. Very, very hard.
Yes. And so maybe the best we can do is inform ourselves and get headed in the right direction when it comes to mental
You
health.
really have to become a rebel, a mental health rebel. Like, you have to be like, make it your part of your identity. Like, I'm going to rebel against this crap. I'm going to be
Right.
healthy even if they don't want me to. All
And
right.
speaking of being a mental health rebel, why don't you touch on your free course? Tell
Okay.
us a little bit about that.
Well, that free course was a lot about being a rebel because I was like, when I was making it, I'm like, I'm not going to take this shit anymore. And I'm going to help people stop taking this shit because it's what they don't know that's killing them. Right. And so a lot of it was about being rebellious. I made it purposefully to be an antagonistic towards the forces that are trying to keep us unknowledgeable and unwell.
Mhm.
So anyway, everything that I've learned about mental health, and it is located at freebpdcourse.com. And if you want to join me in that mental health rebellion, come check it out.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.